Good afternoon. This is MJ from Linus Publications, and we're going to take a look at Brazil. And as I noted a few days ago, we're going to start looking at some of the areas that may become flashpoints. We looked at Venezuela, and that has a potential to become a flashpoint. It does have some angles that I had mentioned. I see it more as sort of limited type of interactions. But now, as we're moving to Brazil, this looks to have the capability to become a major flashpoint. So let's take a look at what I'm seeing. And as usual, I'm going to talk about three charts. We're going to talk about the natal chart with the transits, the natal chart with the progressions, and the natal chart with the solar arc. And as a note, the chart I'm using, the date and the time, is a chart that astrologers in Brazil use. It hasn't been verified for accuracy, so we'll see how it goes with this. Okay? So first thing we want to talk about in the transits is that on 8/28, which is just finishing up, we had Saturn conjuncting Pluto. And this likely is a result of Trump interjecting his opinions on the trials of the former president of that country, the former leader. Because that president he's undergoing trial currently, and Trump is not, he is not liking it, in other words. So he has threatened additional tariffs if they proceed. So we do have some tension here. Now, with Saturn conjunct Pluto, leadership tests. So the country is going to have to try and deal with another country that is involving themselves in their country's politics. So it's pressures on the foundations of that country. Part of the foundation is the legal system and the institutions that carry out and affect the government. And also, there's a focus on corruption with this type of angle. Is there corruption? So Saturn is, when it's conjuncting, it's a deep, deep focus. So it's looking at whatever could be wrong here. Could also be a change of regime, because this is, you've got Saturn and Pluto both involved. Pluto with the control, Saturn with the focus. So it could be a shift in power. The next thing we see coming up, and that's going to be on 10th, and by the way, Saturn conjunct Pluto comes back around 2/15 of next year. Next thing we have on 10/13 of this year, and it comes back again on 2/3 of next year, is Neptune conjuncting Pluto. So now we've got two things that are conjuncting on Pluto. With Neptune, it's dissolving boundaries. So in effect, it's unraveling things. So institutions start to lose power. So it's a question, since this is involving Pluto, it's a question of, okay, do we have manipulation going on? Things don't seem to be working well. There's fogginess, there's fuzziness as to where things are heading. So rather than saying, things, we've got procedures to handle that, it'll be like, do they still work? So there's a question here with Neptune. Next thing we have on 1/31 of next year is Pluto square Mars. This is one configuration I tend to be very wary of. Pluto, again, is the power, Mars is the aggression. This is one of the types of angles that brings government down on the people, or brings other countries into attack, or brings this country out to attack other countries. So there's a lot of dynamics here between power and aggression. In this case, power and force, unfriendly, upheavals, confrontations. So I would expect there's going to be confrontations with other countries, or other countries confront this country. Military escalations, civil unrest. So it could be the people in the country themselves rise up against the government, and they're the aggressor. So right now, we're not really sure. So we'll need to watch this one. But this is a very definite sign that there will be some movement in that country, probably around January timeframe, but we'll have to see. If the time of birth is off, it may be earlier, maybe later. If the date is off, it could be much earlier, much later. Now, when we move into March, we've got a few angles in March, and they're all Saturn angles. So as Saturn trying to control, trying to focus, but in fact, it's rigid, it's restrictive. First thing we have is Saturn squaring Neptune, and that's on the 7th of March. In this case, everything starts to get too fuzzy, so it needs to get control. It's very rigid, so very restrictive. So this could be something where the government or something comes down to start bringing in the boundaries. There could be a loss of credibility here. Whenever something is touching Neptune, there's, again, boundaries seem to get fuzzy. So sometimes lying. So it could be that people won't believe what the country says, or the country won't believe what other countries say. So there's a disbelief here that's involved. When we look at the 14th of March, we have Saturn squaring Uranus, and it's only a week after the previous angle. So what do we have? Well, Saturn is order, Uranus is rebellion. Uranus is also innovation, but that's when it's a good angle. This is a square. This indicates that the country may have hit its limit in what it can do. So it may be trying to control its people. It may be trying to placate the people, but it comes to the point that it can't. And it could be that it just gets overwhelmed. So this is a period that is, again, instability. Now on the 16th, we have Saturn again coming in, and now it's in conjunct Mars. Saturn is trying to put some type of action on whatever is occurring, but the inconjunct, you can't. Anytime you put an action, it breaks. So it can't function. It can't fulfill the action it needs to do. So that's frustrating. It's also destabilizing. It also makes things very rigid. Gridlock. Also, misuse of force. So this becomes a situation that could be dissolving on itself. Now, that's as far as I went on the transits because I thought it was enough. When we look at the progressions, what we have is June 18th, which is actually after most of these, we actually have Jupiter in conjunct Uranus. And this is sort of unpredictability. We have expansion, but we also have it in effect in conjunct with rebellion or innovation. So it's just unstable. We're trying to expand, but in effect, are we expanding a rebellion or are we expanding innovation here? So there's the question as to where this country is going. And since it's an inconjunct, it looks like it would be more of a rebellion. The more Saturn tries to restrict, the more rebellion there will be. Now, when we move to the solar arc on February 10th of 2026, we have Jupiter square Pluto. In this case, Jupiter expansive. Pluto is power plays, power, manipulation. It's a square, so they're not acting well together. So in this case, Jupiter is just making all this more, just adding more to it. So power plays. There's political overreach here. Conflicts, specifically with leadership. So this is actually occurring right after the Pluto square Mars. So it could be that there's some issue and then leadership is just stuck on what to do. So there does seem to be a lot of things coming into play here over the next few months. Now, one thing that does happen is on the 22nd of February, we have Mercury trine Venus. This is actually a nice angle. And Mercury is literally the country trying to find some ways, some plans, some way forward, maybe putting media out, to placate, in effect, Venus, the community, the social areas. So they're trying to maybe put into play things that can work. Unfortunately, right after that, we have all the other angles from the transits coming in. So the country could be trying to make inroads, but meanwhile, we have other things going on. So to just recap on this, it looks like Brazil will be a flashpoint. It could be from the incident with Trump trying to push Brazil to release the former president who happens to be a friend of his. So it could stem from that, or it could be from something else. Now, because we have Pluto square Mars, I don't think Brazil is going to be backing down much. This is something power moves to force, and it's sort of unstable. Okay, so it's not force that's thought out. It's not aggression that's thought out. Hope you, hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but have a good evening, and hopefully we'll have some more chats up tomorrow. Bye now.